Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how people are still paying over MSRP for cars, what this means for the market, and what my advice is for those of you that are looking to potentially purchase a car that is still going for over MSRP with the current state of the market. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. If you want to see more content like this as well, then I recommend you subscribe because I post videos every single day. Let's get into it. Let's start things off by talking about the cars that people are still willing to pay over MSRP for, which is crazy again, considering the market, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Let's start with the categories, and then I'll give some examples throughout as we're going through this. So a lot of sports cars are still selling for over MSRP, especially if it's a new release. So like the new GR86, those are still going for over MSRP. The new Nissan Z, huge amounts over MSRP. The new Honda Civic Type R, I mean, I've seen several transactions of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over MSRP with that car. And so sports cars, people are still willing to pay a huge price premium for them in today's market. And then just new releases in general. If a manufacturer just released a new car, like a fully redesigned car, chances are a dealership's going to ask over MSRP and someone's going to go in and pay the price. Now, there definitely are exceptions. Cars that are typically not considered as special or as exciting are not really going for over MSRP. So a good example is I recently reviewed the new Kia Niro, which is just a fuel-efficient commuter vehicle. And Kia dealerships aren't really asking over MSRP for them because they don't really have pricing power with that. So a product like that is not going for over MSRP, but if it has any sort of desirable trait and it's a new vehicle, it's going to go for over sticker. So like the new Toyota Sequoia, that's another good example. Those are going for over MSRP. Anything that is Toyota TRD Pro over MSRP, like there's just all these categories that you think that the values would be softening because of what's happening in the used car market. But again, they're not. And then on the luxury car side of things, anything that is like special high performance is still going for over MSRP. And this is the craziest thing to me because interest rates are really high right now, and luxury buyers finance just like, you know, non-luxury buyers. And so the amount of interest that these luxury buyers are now paying on these vehicles is so much higher. And again, they're paying price premiums still. Like whenever a luxury car dealer that I film for gets a, you know, somewhat special car in, I have to rush and film it right away, or else it's going to be gone within, you know, a few hours of it landing. Like that is how fast these cars are leaving. And again, a lot of them have price premiums attached to them that are in the tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, a good example is Mercedes G-Wagons that have lost a ton of value on the used market are still selling for $50,000 over MSRP brand new. Like people know that the G-Wagon isn't holding its value like it was last year, but they're still willing to pay a big price premium for it. And so I hope that that kind of shows you guys that like even though the used car market is completely on fire, the new car market is a really strange place right now. So I think the real question we need to answer is why the heck are people willing to pay these crazy price premiums when we're in a market that is declining at a very rapid rate? The used car market is losing about 1% in value per week right now, and that has been consistent over the course of several months. And interest rates are also sky high right now. So you can imagine people are literally going in and paying over MSRP and then paying overinflated interest rates on vehicles. Like they're going to lose a massive amount of money. So why would they do it? And the simple answer is scarcity. So even though it's a lot easier to get a used car today than it was a year ago, it's actually harder to get some of these new cars today than it was a year ago. Manufacturing has slowed down by a massive amount, especially with new releases. What I've been seeing that's been happening very consistently is manufacturers will release a new car. People will get hyped up about this car, and then they will release the production numbers on that car, and it is significantly lower than what you'd expect for the car. And so it's a whole supply-demand dynamic where the cars that are out in the used car market right now are cars that people don't want because it's not the new, shiny, exciting stuff that they want. And then the new, shiny, exciting stuff that they want, well, it's not being built in high enough volume, so then the price premiums are being tacked on. An example I gave earlier in the video was the Honda Civic Type R. They're going for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over MSRP. Guess what? The average Honda dealer in a normal market can expect to get several Civic Type Rs per year, you know, at least 3 to 4. And if they're a bigger Honda dealership, maybe even more. In today's market with the new 2023 Civic Type R, every single Honda dealer is expected to only get one Civic Type R, and some Honda dealers won't even get a Civic Type R. So like the volume is so much lower, and so the pricing power is there. And so that's why people are willing to pay these overinflated prices, because they're basically the only person that's getting that vehicle. And so the dealerships have a strong argument. They're like, hey, you know what? Like with the Civic Type R, most Honda dealers will have 20, 30, 40, 50 people in line for a Civic Type R. They're only getting one. So they'll just go through that line until someone bites. And that's what's happening. So what does this mean for the overall car market? Well, first off, this is not going to prop up the used car market. The used car market is still going to continue to decline at a very rapid rate. People are fed up with used car values, and frankly, a lot of people just can't afford to buy a used car because of the prices and because of current interest rates on used cars. And so we are nowhere near a bottom when it comes to the used car market, and just expect that market to continue to decline. Now, when it comes to new cars, it's pretty mixed. So if it's a new car that hasn't been recently redesigned, then chances are availability with that car is going to be a little bit better, because it seems like manufacturers are able to build those vehicles in slightly higher volume right now with all the constraints that they're having. And then on top of that, there's just less demand because people aren't as excited about those vehicles. I'll use Toyota as an example. Again, the Sequoia, those are going for over MSRP because everyone's hyped up about the new Sequoia. But if you go to a Toyota dealership and you want to buy a Tacoma or a 4Runner, chances are you'll be able to find one on the lot, and you will probably be able to negotiate with it because it's something that's probably sat on the lot for a little bit of time. And so you actually can find some deals within the new car market if you're not looking at the brand new hyped up product that's not being built in massive numbers. Long term, these overinflated prices will not last. Right now, there's enough hype and the supply is low enough that people are willing to pay these price premiums. But eventually, people are going to come to their senses and realize that these cars are not worth what they're paying for them. I'm going to use the Sequoia as an example because guess what? The Sequoia represents a lot of these cars that are going for over MSRP. Regular, run-of-the-mill vehicles that in a normal market, they're not necessarily special. Like the Sequoia is a great, full-size SUV, but like there's nothing, it's not a collectible item, right? It's a Sequoia, it's a 3-row family SUV, it's a people mover, right? And so these people that are paying $20,000, $30,000 over MSRP for these Sequoias are eventually going to realize, oh, this actually isn't a $100,000 plus SUV. It's, cool that it's a Toyota, it's super reliable, but I could buy, a BMW X5M for that price. Like I know those aren't in the same segment and everything, but the point that I'm trying to make is like, there's a lot of cars that you can buy for the amount of money that these cars are going for with the price premiums attached to them. People will eventually come to their senses as the market continues to decline, and well, it'll probably be too late because they'll have overpaid for the car and the values will have dropped a massive amount because everyone else will realize it's not worth that. And then, they'll be in a situation where they're upside down, and good luck with that. Now, as always, how can you use this information to help you out as a buyer? And here's the deal. Don't buy into the hype. Now, last year, I actually made some videos. I can't remember if it was on this channel or on the main channel, where I talked about how it could make sense to pay over MSRP for certain cars if you're going to keep them short term, because you could basically flip them and make some money. And that was very feasible last year because the market was going up every single week. But when we're in a market that is declining every single week, I just can't give that recommendation because yeah, some of these cars are special enough that there's probably always going to be some sort of market premium attached to them. I just don't think that the market premiums are going to be as high as what we're seeing today. A car that I talked about in today's video was the Honda Civic Type R. They're selling for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over MSRP right now. But when the market was normal, used Honda Civic Type Rs were selling for under MSRP used if they had higher mileage, and if it was like a really clean, low mileage, newer model year car, it was maybe selling for original MSRP. And so that's what a normal market looks like on a car that's definitely more special, more low production than something like a Toyota Sequoia, for example. So as you can see, that's still not $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over sticker. And so, I guess if you can't help yourself, if you're too hyped up and you got to buy something, just understand that any amount of money that you pay over MSRP for any of these cars, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to lose it within the next year to 2 years with everything that's happening within the used car market. And, even if you pay MSRP, understand that you're guaranteed to lose some money on top of that, because again, people just aren't willing to pay the prices on the used market that they were just a year ago. And that leads me to the last point of this video, and that is the fact that people will always pay bigger price premiums for new cars as opposed to used cars, even if the cars are in the exact same condition, i.e. someone bought a new car, didn't drive it at all, and let's say they have the same amount of miles. People will always pay more for the new car because it's the excitement and the thrill of being the first owner with that car, right? You're the first person to touch it versus, again, even if it's a used car with the same amount of miles, like it has no miles on it, it's perfect condition, it's still used. You're still the second owner. And so there is always going to be a price premium to pay for getting something new versus used. And so that also kind of goes into why these people are willing to pay this price premium and why the values will not hold on the used market. That's going to sum things up for today's video. Again, as always, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. I'll see ya.